Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla stock, let's go over the market, let's talk about what is happening to Tesla stock, what we can expect moving into the rest of the week. We have earnings coming out in just over half an hour. I am recording this video early because, well, I want to be ready when the market closes for earnings in case the price dips, because I am going to be most likely looking to enter if I do see the price dip post earnings. But yeah, all that being said and done, let's jump into it. Let's talk about what I see. I'll make this video, I'll try to make this one a little bit shorter, because I'll be completely honest, you know, technical analysis is one thing today, earnings is a completely different beast, essentially, right? It can definitely make things a little bit more unknown, to say the least. Either way, if you enjoy, please don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my analysis, my membership section on YouTube is live. That link is down below for just $3 a month. If you get access to all my thoughts, posts, updates on Tesla and other stocks sometimes as well. Every single day, the market is open. So definitely check it out if you're interested. And yeah, let's see what happens. And it's going to be a wild day, probably after market. And honestly, might even be tomorrow as well. Probably tomorrow as well. So let's see what happens. So again, let's go over here. So I'll talk about what the technical analysis looks like pretty much right now, right? We're probably closing somewhere in the 213s, is my guess at least. So I'll just give you my thoughts as to what it looks like as of right now. Again, make sure and please understand, take today's analysis with a grain of salt. Earnings can absolutely mess things up for better or for worse. So just make sure you fully understand that as I bring open, I think, this little thingy right here. So essentially, let's get over, you know, let's get the basic stuff out of the way. Right now, the market is actually expecting about a 7% move on Tesla, which will be a high, the high range of about 230, which is what I said. The low range will actually be just barely sub $200 per share. Could be less, could be more. That's the thing. This is just what the market's currently expecting and pricing in roughly. Could be less, could be more. So take that for what it's worth. But Tesla, that's the range it's expecting. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. Now, looking at technical analysis specifically, I'm not going to lie. Like, if there was no earnings today, there was none of that like unknown factor coming in like half an hour or whatever, right? I would say that this chart looks like ungodly hideous. Like, this looks very ugly. Like, this is a very bearish, very ugly, very hideous looking chart. Let me explain why. So obviously we're still in this downward channel. We got very close to it, and well, pretty much as we touch the downward channel, congratulations, we have a nice 2% haircut so far, right? So that's number one. But number two is the fact that we're losing very crucial levels right now, like extremely important levels. Unless Tesla within the last 30 minutes rockets past 215 and closes back above 215, we are losing some pretty crucial levels here, right? Which is not ideal. For instance, 215. You know, we went below 215 before, like on these two candles over here, but we never closed below 215. We pretty much held at 215 every single time. And every time we got close to it, we just got right back, we got bought back up almost instantly, right? Or at the very least by the end of the day. Obviously, this still can happen. We still have half an hour, but I don't expect it to happen. I'd be pretty surprised if it does, personally. Now, so what does that mean? We're losing a very crucial level. We're losing a level that held as major support, right? Don't forget, this also easily could have been just a massive bear flag, right? But anyway, you can either look at it like this or you can look at it like this, whatever. The point is the fact that this also has potentials of a bear flag, which if this plays out, I mean, at the very least, I can easily see Tesla coming down to low 200s, even maybe, you know, barely kind of touching that 190s, somewhere in the 190s territory as well, maybe even post-market, right? That actually unironically can be, you know, a very real possibility, unfortunately. So we'll see how the earnings goes, right? But, you know, losing these levels and also losing the trend lines. Don't forget, I mentioned how we have this first trend line up here, which, you know, we technically draw a gap down below. And, you know, as I zoom in, you can see we pretty much turned it into an almost perfect resistance. Kind of went sideways for a bit. Okay, that's not good. But we still have another trend line below us. And what do we do today? We lost that one as well. Now, obviously, we still have yet to close below it because obviously there's still 30 minutes left in the day. But assuming we close below pretty much 215, which I again expect us to do so, at least as of right now, we're losing this one as well. We're losing this one as well. So strictly off of technical analysis, strictly off of that, the chart looks atrocious. It looks extremely bearish. Now, the good news is the fact that despite it looking extremely bearish, if we do get a gap down, and if we do, let's say, off of earnings, move down to, like, let's just say 200-ish, low 200s, very high 190s. Let's say we do move there, right? The good news is the fact that Tesla, in my opinion, would get into like extremely oversold territories. And despite the chart looking hideous, I do expect a bounce from there. I do expect a bounce from somewhere around this general range down here. I don't know if it'll be 207, maybe it'll be 205, maybe it'll be 200, maybe we'll come all the way down to like 195. I don't know. I have no idea which one it'll be. But that overall vicinity, that general price range, I do expect some pretty meaningful support to really come in there and really like hold the stock up. And I would expect this general area to hold and us to make our way back up, at the very least back to 215s, maybe even back to retesting this trend line that we're seemingly going to be losing by the time the market closes, which, depending on, of course, when that happens, can actually take us back into the 220s as well. So that's kind of what I expect, man. Remember, like if you go back like a few days in advance, right? I've talked many times how I personally expect Tesla. My base path has always been this, right? This has been my base path, right? And as of right now, based on today's technical analysis, obviously maybe earnings messes it up and we just have a massive gap up, always a possibility, of course. You know, there is a very real possibility that, you know, this kind of is what we just get, right? This more or less is the move that we end up receiving post earnings, essentially, right? So we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. We'll see how it plays out. But again, just strictly off of technical analysis, strictly off of the way the chart looks, as of right now, not taking into account the potential earnings catalyst that, you know, can gap us up or down potentially substantially, the chart looks very bearish to me. Like, this is not a chart I would look at and be like, I want to buy right here, right now. Maybe you will. I absolutely won't, though. This is not a chart I look to see that. Now, of course, if we get to $200 roughly, okay, I'm getting a little bit more interested here. Granted, I still think we'll go probably lower to like 170s, maybe even 160s, honestly. But I do expect a short-term bounce from there, because I think Tesla will just be like almost comically oversold at that point for the short term, because that would be a substantial drawdown. Like within not that long of a time frame, pretty much within 17 bars of trading days, so about 2.5 weeks of trading days, we would have dropped like 25% roughly. It's a lot, right? That is a lot. For most stocks, it's a lot. For Tesla, honestly, it's kind of just a normal pattern at this point. But yeah, it will be very, very comically oversold. Now, obviously, if we go over to Tesla on the logarithmic chart, actually, before I do that, I want to show one more thing quickly here. If we go back, let's go to the monthly chart. Now, the monthly chart is very interesting. Why is it interesting? Well, if we end up closing this month pretty much really below 215, or especially below like 210, if we close the month below that, which again is about a week left, we would be printing a very, 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 very large monthly bearish engulfing candle. This could be a major, major concern for Tesla. This could be a massive concern for the stock. And I think this could be extremely bearish if this were to happen. So all I'm going to say is, yeah, hope that doesn't happen if you're a Tesla bull, because if it does, hold on to your hats. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, that's kind of the main thing I'm seeing right now on the logarithmic or the linear chart. Let's go to the logarithmic chart very quickly. So the logarithmic chart, like I said, it's less forgiving, right? I mentioned many times before how it was already showing us breaking down from the trend line, that we only just started breaking down on the linear chart today. This was already showing us breaking down, which is why I was extra careful. And I honestly have only been, I hate day trading, but I've pretty much only been day trading Tesla, despite yesterday's potential reversal candle, completely relevant today, right? It completely nullified it today, similar to how AMD's potential reversal candle got nullified yesterday. If you look at AMD's, not yesterday, day before that, AMD also had a very nice bullish looking candle 2 days ago, completely nullified as well. This market is in a, this market is being a little bit, like a crying baby, if that makes sense, right? So you got to be really careful right now with this market, in my opinion. But the point I'm trying to make here is that, we are losing it on the logarithmic chart, like already like several days ago, right? And of course, if you go to the weekly chart, you can see not only are we dropping below, but we ended up actually, so far at least, taking this logarithmic weekly chart, and the weekly candle's top was pretty much the resistance of this white line. Like we pretty much went right into it, got resisted by it, and now we're making our way down, and earnings can definitely make this move go down much, much lower pretty quickly, honestly. We also have a weekly potential weekly bearish MACD crossover, which you can see on both of them as well, right? Is this not showing up? Wait, oh, this is AMD. Let me go back here. Beautiful, right? We have a bearish weekly MACD crossover back to the downside. So again, things can change pretty quickly here with these earnings. This can get fixed potentially as well. There is a chance that this earnings fixes it, and maybe we do gap up. Maybe we actually gap up, and things are looking brighter. That is a possibility. Of course, that's a possibility. But it's a coin flip, and based on just strictly off of technical analysis, strictly off of today's price action, and strictly off of what seems to be today's most likely close, it's not looking too hot. I'll be completely honest. It's not looking too hot. So yeah, let's see. Anyways, that's all I got for you. Good luck to everyone. potentially playing earnings. I'm pretty much sitting on the sidelines. I have one cash you could put lower at 207, and that'll be pretty much my first shares that I'm actually finally re-entering Tesla. I did end up closing my shares, thankfully, on the morning pump because I just wasn't trusting it, because we barely were able to go green. And the fact that we were barely able to go green, I was not trusting it. And I pretty much ended up thinking to myself, you know what, I'd rather see a close right above this trend line, which is pretty much where you were at in the morning pump. I'd rather see a close above that with some form of confirmation than just kind of hold on to this and pray for dear life. Thankfully, that was the right call. Obviously, it could have been the wrong call, but ended up being the right call. So I'm happy about that. So I am entering this earnings call on my trading account, of course, pretty naked. Not a whole lot of happening. I don't have a lot of positions. I just have one cash secured put. I do have my smaller account, of course, where I am holding shares. I'm not selling, which I kind of regret not to, but you know, anyway, good luck. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.